So yesterday, Megyn Kelly had on Tucker Carlson, and I made a reactionary video about that. And today she had Ben Shapiro on, and my goodness me, Ben Shapiro was on literal fire today, pretty much humiliating Megyn Kelly a number of times, especially when it came to the subject of Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson. Now, I want to show you it's about 10, 11 minutes long, but I would be remiss if I didn't show you the full context, right? I want you guys to get the full context of everything that Ben Shapiro is saying, and we'll take it in little segments, right? So every single thing that Ben Shapiro is talking about, we will unpack every single little thing that he's saying, because everything that he said was brilliant and on point. And honestly, I've got lots to say about it. Okay, so this may be a very long video, but I mean, we need to have this conversation. So have a watch of Ben Shapiro talking to Megyn Kelly, because it's utterly brilliant.
It goes on. It goes on.
I mean, I would hate for people to believe that the Nick Fuentes sort of, my problems with Nick Fuentes are about me, because they really are not. They are about the fact that Nick Fuentes is a truly horrifying person who believes truly horrifying things. I mean, again, there is a reason why Charlie Kirk despised him. There's a reason why every mainstream political commentator has been highly critical of him. It's the reason why these are not arguments. This is not a person who's making arguments. He's a Hitler-loving troll, and I say that advisedly. He literally says on his show that he loves Adolf Hitler. Okay, so the reason this has come up in recent weeks is because Tucker, your guest last night, decided to have him on last week and to completely gloss him, in my opinion. And you can make up your own opinion as to what you think Tucker was doing during that interview, but I know what it looks like when Tucker Carlson decides to be an aggressive interviewer, when he decides to ask difficult questions of people. Tucker is eminently capable of doing that. He did it to Ted Cruz quite thoroughly. But he decided, for any number of reasons, and I try not to attribute motivations to people, that he was going to treat Fuentes with kid gloves, that he was going to not ask him about any of the things that I've just mentioned, literally any of them, and to essentially normalize Fuentes, act as a sort of gateway drug, or as what I've called Tucker, as an ideological launderer of bad ideas over the last couple of years. And this is not coming from a place of animus for Tucker on a personal level. I've known Tucker for a very long time. Tucker and I, whenever we're in personal situations, we get along great. I think I saw that Tucker talked about how we were at Charlie's memorial in the vice president's box together, and he's correct. I mean, we saw each other, we said hello, we talked, it was very friendly, and all of that. And it's also true that a couple of days after Charlie's murder, he reached out and he called me and he said, listen, I know that we're at odds, and we've been at odds for a number of reasons, mainly political. I mean, again, on a personal level, I'd go fishing with Tucker anytime. The real question is, for me, I got into this business because I care about the ideas and I care about the ideals. And so when you're determining what is conservatism, what should the future of America look like, and where do you draw the lines, those are the questions that I need to answer in my job. For me, my business is really not about friendship. I have lots of friends, people who I love, with whom I disagree on politics and don't believe they should be leaders in the conservative movement, for example. And that, to me, is the real question. In any case, Tucker reached out. He said, we've had a bunch of disagreements, and what if we could put those aside and align toward the DSA in particular, is what he mentioned. And I said, Tucker, you're totally right. Let's do that. That would be great. In fact,
the TSA?
The DSA, the Democratic Socialists of America.
Why the TSA? How did that bring you together?
The Democratic Socialists of America. And the reason
I know.
Yes, and the reason I'm taking out my
TSA
phone
only divides people.
Is because, yes, the reason I'm taking out my phone is because I don't just, I like to evidence what I'm saying with, actual evidence. So I texted him, and the text exchange was very nice. I mean, here's what the actual text exchange went like after the call. So I texted him, and I said, thanks so much for calling. It means the world. It truly does. Should we do a show together talking about the DSA threat, Democratic Socialists of America threat, and orienting in the same direction? Happy to do whatever it takes to bring everyone back together for the fight that matters. And Tucker then wrote back, thanks, man. I appreciate it. I'm going to spend the next week or two thinking about how to be most effective. The country is clearly on the brink. I reached out repeatedly after that. Nothing happened. And again, I thought it was a good idea at the time. I think I felt differently after I saw what he did with Nick Fuentes, and after he proceeded, in my opinion, to spend the subsequent weeks doing literally nothing to fight the left. I say this with sadness because Tucker used to be, I think, a deeply important part of the conservative push to win. The number of times that Tucker Carlson has mentioned Zoran Mamdani since October 5th on his show is once. And it was in the context of Marjorie Taylor Greene and Tucker Carlson talking about the appeal of Zoran Mamdani. Just by way of contrast, not because I'm a perfect representative here, but because you talked about Zoran Mamdani a lot. A lot of us have. Since October 5th, I did 17 separate shows on Zoran Mamdani, including 4 in the last week before the election. Okay, because when you're orienting against the left, you really should orient against the left.
Okay, so a lot in there. I think, just to be clear, so the breakdown from the detente after Charlie was him interviewing Fuentes. Was that the next thing that happened that led to the blow up?
I mean, yes. I mean, okay. I had not spoken a word. There
so it
were
wasn't
things
that he attacked you, or you had
no,
something?
I don't care about people attacking me, and I don't think Tucker cares about people attacking him. I mean, again, we're professionals. We're in a business where people comment on what we say publicly. Again, this is why I think you and I differ on our angle with regard to, for example, Candace Owens. I think that what Candace Owens is doing right now is evil. It is evil what she is doing right now. Okay, and I say that again.
But what?
Because
I didn't opine on whether it's evil or not, but my position is it's really none of my business. And
why is it? But I have a question. Why is it none of your business? I mean, you comment on these things for a living.
I'm not mother of the internet.
No, but if this were on the left and somebody were accusing Charlie Kirk of his wife having murdered him, I assume that you would be talking about it.
Is that what Candace is accusing Erica of?
Yes.
Of murdering her own husband?
She's accusing TPUSA insiders and other members of the right wing, including Seth Dillon, of being involved in the murder of Charlie Kirk, yes.
Okay. Like I said, I don't take in that content, which is an honest statement. I don't have time to watch Candace's show.
I believe you. But the point that I'm making is that
what I understand
friendship
Candace
should not, in our
doing.
business, I think it's important. Listen,
Candace
friendship
and I are
should
not
not
friends.
trump.
We don't even know each other.
I understand, but even with Tucker, friendship should not trump our manifest requirement to speak out when people do and say things that are both detrimental to conservatism and morally wrong.
Okay, so I don't totally disagree, but I think the way of handling that, at least for me, is much different. So I saw things go south between you and Tucker, at least from my vantage point, when you disagreed on Israel. That was obvious. And he was, let me just make my point.
Sure.
And so he was saying things that were critical of Israel and our policy towards Israel. And then you did one show where you did what I thought you should have done if you disagreed with him, which clearly you did, which is say what you believe and what you think is factual and educate your audience on what you think are the real facts and give them the evidence for it. But you named him and it felt like an attack. And that, to me, was the beginning of the end, where he was like, now it's on. Because he felt personally attacked by you, as opposed to just challenging his idea. I think you named him and you kind of diminished him. And, he's an 800-pound gorilla, and if you mess with a gorilla, he's going to fight. And to me, that's where it started to go south. And because I remember that day being like, oh, shit. Well, I don't want to see this.
But here's the thing. I would urge everybody to go back and listen to the show that you're referring to, where I criticized Tucker's ideas, not Tucker as a person. Tucker then responded by claiming that I do not love America. That is a direct quote. That I do not love America because I was spending too much time covering the October 7th attacks, and then proceeded in January to then say that I wanted his children to die in a foreign war. Okay, so those are different.
That's a rhetorical.
No, it is
point.
not. I'm sorry, it's not. An attack on motivation is a very different thing from an attack on an idea.
His point was that you were sounding like a neocon, and he's upset with anybody who wants us to get too involved in Israel's conflict because he feels it endangers American children.
Okay, the idea that, number one, the idea that I want the United States to be directly involved in Israel's conflict is not true.
No, I know that, Ben.
I've been urging Israel to get off of American aid for literally as long as I have been active in politics.
But I'm making clear what his point was.
But my point is that that's not his point. And again, none of this.
So we disagree.
We disagree on the interpretation of what Tucker has been doing for the past 2 years, and it's very difficult for me to believe that Tucker is merely anti-Israel when, for example, today in his newsletter, I mean, I can directly quote it if you'd like. In his newsletter today, he claimed that Zoran Mamdani is not anti-Semitic. This was his newsletter today, this morning. I mean, I'm happy to read the text. It's a little extraordinary because, again, it is kind of shocking stuff. So here's what Tucker Carlson wrote in his newsletter today, or what his newsletter says under his name. He said, "Is the incoming mayor a fan of Israel? Does he want America to fight its wars? Not particularly. But a Jew hater, that's a different conversation. We've never seen anything to suggest he falls into that ugly camp. If we're talking about fighting the left, defending Zohran Mamdani, who literally said that Hamas, he has no opinion whether Hamas should disarm, who posed alongside the 1993 World Trade Center unindicted co-conspirator, who would not disown globalize the Intifada, who suggested that whenever there is a New York Police Department boot on somebody's neck, it's an IDF lacing the strings, to suggest that that's not anti-Semitic in any way, no way.
Okay, but listen.
Or when he,
I'm going to give you a defense of Tucker here, and I don't need to defend Tucker because I'm not Tucker.
Tucker can perfectly
but
well
I'll just
defend
say,
himself.
I think in general, because I know him and I listen to him and I understand generally where he's coming from. He would say his problems are with Israel, and he would say that shot that Mamdani laid against the IDF is a shot against the IDF and Israel, and how he thinks they're pro-war, not against Jews.
Okay.
And I think
all I can say is when Tucker Carlson finds himself in complete alignment with Zohran Mamdani, it is very difficult for me to believe that he does not agree with Zohran Mamdani.
I think Tucker is in a place right now of the same place that Charlie was getting to toward the end of his life, the same place that some people had tried to drive me, which is you're under withering, nonstop accusations of being something you know you're not.
Well,
but from some people who you love and who you've been protecting, at least in my case and Charlie's case, for 2 years, who you've been completely defensive of.
Megyn,
and Charlie and I both felt, and because we talked about this on my show, like, what's happening here? Why are they dropping charges of anti-Semitism against us when we love Jews and we're both open Semites? We're Zionists.
There's so much that Ben said in the first couple of minutes that I absolutely loved and I agree with. Like, we're not in this business to really make friends. You know, we're not in politics to really make too many close friends or connections. And if your ideas are horrible, you should be called out on your ideas. And Ben makes the distinction, which I think is very, very important, something that Tucker doesn't actually do, because Tucker will attack you as a person, not necessarily your ideas. He will attack you as a person. Ben will attack the ideas. He will go after your ideas. And if he doesn't like your ideas, he will make that known and he'll explain why. I mean, the whole 40-minute long interview not interview, but the whole 40-minute long video that Ben made in response to Tucker Carlson deciding to have on the likes of Nick Fuentes, which everyone blew up about, by the way. It was a huge thing, a huge deal, and rightfully so. But you saw Ben pull out his phone and message Tucker and say, happy to have a conversation with you on the show anytime. Tucker completely ignored it. Ben has reached out a number of times after that. Tucker is completely ignoring it. So it's all good and well for Tucker to say that Ben Shapiro is afraid to debate him or to have a conversation with him. It's all also good and well for all of Tucker's dingbat audience members to say, well, Ben Shapiro is just afraid to debate Tucker Carlson. But the reality is Ben has actually been reaching out. You got to throw an olive branch, right? But if they choose not to take it and they just go attacking you every other time they're on the internet, it's like, come on, guys, what's going on here? And Ben is acting more like the mature adult than what Tucker Carlson's doing. I mean, yesterday, Tucker was saying that Ben's not his enemy. But the thing is, they're just refusing to do a proper debate because I think everyone would want to see the proper debate because I think Ben would just rip Tucker a new one. And we all know how Tucker goes with debates. And Ben was like, if you're having on Nick Fuentes, who is a bona fide Nazi, has said that he loves Hitler, has got some very dangerous, very horrible ideas in society, and you're doing absolutely no pushback at all, and yet you do push back against Ted Cruz, you don't push back against anyone that you should be disagreeing with if you call yourself a Christian and a conservative, that's a problem. And I've called it out too. Ben has called it out, and that's the way it should be. And everyone's going, oh, but you can't call out, you can't criticize your so-called friends on the right. We shouldn't be doing that because our fight's not on with people on the right. Our fight is with people on the left. No, the thing is, and I've said this many, many times, and I'm so glad that Ben actually says it and agrees with it because, you know, the thing is, we've all got lots of friends that are close and personal, and I would hope and I would pray that my close friends would call me out on my nonsense if I was to say something that is actually stupid. And, you know, you have a duty especially in this place when you have a very big audience, to not lead people astray. But Tucker's doing just that. And Tucker couldn't care less. He couldn't care less. He even said to Megyn Kelly yesterday, he snapped at her and said, do your own interview. You're not my producer. You don't tell me what to do and how to conduct an interview. You do it with Ben if you feel like you can do a better job. I think Ben, if he was to do an interview or a debate with Nick, he would do so much better than what Tucker did. Tucker was just like, here you go. Here's a platform for you to spread your vile hate and all that other stuff. And that's what we've got a problem with. But nowadays, the dingbats on the crazy right were just going, if you criticize us, that's like equal to canceling, which to me is nuts. It's not equal to canceling at all. It's called criticism and it's valid. You have a right, especially in this space. So you guys can criticize Ben all you want. And if we say that's canceling, oh, you guys are claiming to be the victim. But if we say it to you guys, no. You guys are just being hateful. You're canceling us. You guys are on the far right are acting very similar to those on the far left, by the way. Highly emotional and acting as if, you're in the right and we're in the wrong. It's like so typical. So the first little bit of Ben, like trying to, I guess, bury the hatchet, but they're not standing with these horrible ideas. The difference between attacking the ideas versus attacking the person, but everyone that has like a level of immaturity doesn't seem to think that because they latch the ideas onto their identity, right? And those like on the radical left with the transgender thing, we see it. And there's a saying that I used to say all the time with the whole transgender stuff when the show originally got more popular. Those that see the truth as being hateful will always hate the truth. And it appears that Tucker cannot stand the truth. And those people that think that they are telling the truth, they're blind and delusional to when the truth actually gets thrown in their face. And the other thing that I found interesting about this first little bit was I would have loved to have seen Tucker and Ben on the stage and Megyn Kelly in the middle talking to both of them. I would have loved to seen it. Not like one day it's Tucker, the next day it's Ben. It just shows that like these people can't be in the same room talking to each other on a stage kind of deal. And that worries me. Like these two have massive audiences. But I guess if I'm going to side with anyone, firstly, I'm choosing Jesus. Secondly, I choose people that have the right idea when it comes to the truth and what I know to be the actual truth. And the fact is, Nick Fuentes is not the truth. The fact is, Tucker Carlson is not the truth. The fact is, Ben Shapiro has spoken more sound logic and reason and rationale in that 4-minute long segment that you saw in the very beginning than I have seen anyone else do so far. I mean, I've been saying it, but it's not to blow my own horn, but there's so many other people in conservatism. It's like a fight and a war that I've spoken about a number of times. So that's what I have to say about that first little bit that Ben brings up is Candace Owens accusing Erica Kirk of killing her husband, Charlie Kirk. Now, while she hasn't come out and directly said, hey, Erica Kirk, you've killed, you're involved, all that sort of stuff, she has alluded to it. She has definitely alluded to it. And if you're not privy to any of it, let me just show you something that is very important for people to see. So this is on like ChatGPT, right? So Owens' specific claims about Erica Kirk. Owens has not accused Erica Kirk of pulling the trigger or directly murdering Kirk, but her rhetoric has crossed into personal attacks. Insinuation, your context matters, right? And intent matters as well. She has accused staff members and Turning Point USA of being directly involved. It's a cover-up. And apparently also everyone betrayed Charlie Kirk. That's including his wife. That's what Candace Owens has said. So what are people supposed to think when you say something like that? I have made video after video proving that this is exactly what Candace Owens has been not only alluding to, but saying. And yes, I know for a fact she hasn't directly said it, because I don't think she will, but she said that Turning Point USA is involved in a cover-up. What does that tell you? Here is insinuation of foreknowledge. In an October 2025 podcast episode titled "They Are Lying About Charlie Kirk," Owens released leaked texts from Kirk days before his death, claiming they showed pressure from Jewish donors. She then implied Erica knew about the pending assassination, stating Erica was aware of the threats. She had conversations that made you wonder what she knew. This was framed as part of a larger betrayal of Kirk's inner circle. And also, Candace Owens' followers have been accusing Erica of being involved. So where do they get that, not only accusation, but that thought from? If not from Candace Owens' very own rhetoric, her very own dialogue of accusing certain people in Turning Point USA. You don't necessarily need to come out directly and say, hey, Erica Kirk killed Charlie Kirk. But you can go out of your way and allude to it, though, which is what she's been doing for quite some time. Podcasts and video titles. A widely circulating YouTube video from October 28th to 31st, Candace Owens claims Charlie Kirk's wife involvement in his murder. So there's lots of podcasts that are out there that we all need to be very, very careful about. And this is the same kind of line of thought that Ben Shapiro was trying to get through Megyn Kelly's very thick skull that she doesn't seem to get. And she's like, I'm not policing the internet. This is what she said. I don't opine on whether it's evil or not, but my position is it's really none of my business. She's trying to play both sides, trying to keep her relationship with Tucker, because she said it, Tucker's an 800-pound gorilla. She's trying not to, upset Tucker for the sake of her, not only reputation, but her friendship with him. And I've got to make the question, why do you want to be friends with someone that openly has on a Hitler lover? I mean, they can have on whoever they want, but not criticize him for it, not call him out for it. That's not real friendship, in my personal opinion. And that's what Ben was trying to allude to. But these days, it's like, well, I'm going to let that slide because they're my friend and I don't want to have a war. You're not creating a war. You're calling out something that is wrong. And I think first and foremost, we have a priority to the gospel. We have a priority to Jesus. We have a priority to what he thinks is true, not what Tucker thinks is right, not what Ben Shapiro thinks is right. We have a duty to what God says is right. And if what Ben says is accurate to what the Bible says, follow that. And same goes for Tucker. And if they're not, call them out on it. Isn't that what Jesus did? Called out the Pharisees and the Sadducees for what they were teaching. It's wrong. And of course, they hated him for it. So Megyn doesn't want that. And also, the whole aspect of, Megyn refusing to look at anything that Candace has said, to me, it just signals, why not? Why? You watch Tucker's stuff, but yet you refuse to call out Candace. What's going on? Another 800-pound gorilla you don't want to upset, eh? And Event Speaks goes, say what you want about Ben Shapiro, but he is one of the few voices on the right who actually has the courage to call things as they are, even when it means standing up to his own side, while others tiptoe around friends like Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens to avoid backlash. Ben does not cower or compromise. He calls out hypocrisy, anti-Semitism, and moral cowardice wherever he sees it. In an era where too many people care more about protecting alliances than protecting principles, that kind of integrity takes serious backbone. I've been doing, not to blow my own horn here, but I've been doing the exact same thing. And it is not easy to do. Let me just say that. It's not easy at all. You will get attacked. You will be ridiculed. You will be accused. But for me, my integrity is above all else. My character, the truth is above all else. And if I make any mistakes, I will admit it. I'm man enough to admit it. If I see that I have made a mistake, I will admit it. For example, I haven't looked into this too much, but I will. But the incident at the Israeli prison with the supposed Palestinian terrorists being raped, all that sort of stuff, I said it was horrible. I need to do more research, but I've been told that it was doctored, and that it's not entirely accurate what's been alleged. So I will look at it, and if I have made a mistake, I will admit to making a mistake. If I do see that what I said is inaccurate, I will correct it, because that's the kind of person that I am. So I want to let you all know about that. I'm doing my own investigation currently, and I will respond in the not too distant future should I have evidence. And that's what I'm going off. Proper evidence, not by what he said, she said sort of thing. I need evidence. So I liked this bit especially. I know it's long, and if you got to this far in the video, well done. But I think we need to have courage in today's day and age, especially not to be told like you need to believe this, believe that. Find the truth. And the truth is found always in the word of God, what Jesus says, and not be a coward like Megyn Kelly is, refusing to call out a person because they're their friend. They're choosing the friendship over what's right. And that's wrong. It's enough from me. You guys take care, be blessed, and I'll see you all in the next video.